Welcome to Influential Entrepreneurs, bringing you interviews with elite business leaders and experts, sharing tips and strategies for elevating your business to the next level. Here's your host, Mike Saunders.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Influential Entrepreneurs. This is Mike Saunders, the Authority Positioning Coach. And today we have with us Eileen Mendel, who is a podcaster and a business strategist, motivational speaker, and host of the Balanced Millionaire podcast. Welcome to the program, Eileen.
Thank you very much, Mike. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, well, let's get talking about your background. What do you do? What do you see? I love when we talk about upcoming trends because so many times where there's smoke, there's fire. And when people start talking about a trend, sometimes it's because you've noticed things. So give us a little bit of background on yourself. I know reading your bio, it's a very storied and vast past, but catch us up to speed on what your background is and then what led you to the Balanced Millionaire concept.
Okay, well, I actually came from an immigrant, multifaceted family that was entrepreneurial, and that's how I got my entrepreneurial spirit. It was the influence of my dad, my grandfather, and my relatives. And from there, I decided in my career that I would eventually have my own business. I didn't know how it was going to come about, and I initially studied in the science realm and went on to a PhD program in pharmacology after I graduated from undergrad. And after seeing the biotech revolution, and I was in graduate school at the time, I knew I wanted to be part of that. I wanted to be part of something that was brand new. And so I moved to California. I was originally on the East Coast, moved to California, and started out with a biotech company as my first job in my career. And I learned, I was actually a researcher, but I also learned about business because it was a small company, and we were venture funded. And I got excited about that, and so I knew I wanted to go back and go to business school this time and become an entrepreneur myself, a CEO of a company. And so I went on to MIT, got my master's degree in business. I was briefly with a pharmaceutical company so I could see what goes on the inside, got some good training there. And then I started off on my entrepreneurial career. I had a consulting practice that I started in Silicon Valley. And that was a great place to actually see how businesses are formed. So I hooked in with venture capitalists as well as entrepreneurs, and I became a business consultant to the entrepreneurs, and also I was sought after to vet the technologies and the business models for startup companies by angel investors, development funds from larger companies like Blue Cross Blue Shield, and eventually I was brought into larger pharmaceutical firms. I also worked for many venture capital firms. I was recruited and as a consultant to be their consultant in the business development and marketing area to help them decide on what technologies they needed to bring in to fill their portfolio of products. So that was pretty exciting. And then I took a hiatus from my company, and we grew that to $1 million company. My partner took over, and I decided I wanted to try something different. So I went on to New Mexico, where I got to know what was going on at the laboratories. And I hooked in with a couple entrepreneurial high-tech companies at the time and figured out what was going on in the high-tech industry and the Google type of searches and other search companies and I was involved with another search company. I was also involved with a networking firm. And we sold products to the government and to the Los Alamos laboratories and other and some non-governmental industry. And then I went on and decided to come back to California, and here I am in San Diego. Been here for a little over 6 years. I decided to, add in life coaching and become certified as a life coach, realizing how business affects your life and life affects your business. And I saw the trend with a lot of millennials trying to start up their own businesses and model themselves after Bill Gates or Steve Jobs. And I said, this is the time. This is the time to do it, because we have the technology where we could just start the business out of our home, garage, basement, whatever, and do something magnificent in the world. And I think more and more the younger generation is wanting to have impact on the world. They're seeing some ugly things, but they're seeing some good things too. That technology can solve some problems. It also creates problems, but it can solve many problems. And I think now, as I was building my new business here in sunny California, I knew that I was on the right track. And I am combining now my knowledge and experience and expertise in business with the life coaching, understanding that people want balance in their lives. So that's how I got to my current position, that I'm called the Balance Millionaire is my branding, and I'm having fun doing it.
That's awesome, and I think kind of like how I was mentioning at the opening is trends, and I think from your just a variety of really deep past and knowledge, you've seen trends and you can kind of touch on what you feel is up and coming. You mentioned millennials and you mentioned Marcom and automation. What do you feel looking kind of over the fence here in the next few years, 1 to 3 years? Where do you feel some of the business trends are for two areas? Number one, small business, but number two, you mentioned about people that maybe want to create something on their own, so kind of like the side hustle while they still have a corporate jobs, because I feel like a lot of people would like to do something on their own, or even just something on the side, and it's so easy these days. 5-10 years ago, it would have been, quit your job and start from scratch. Now, having that side hustle is so easy. So what do you see trends in those two directions?
Well, yes, I see people who are maybe not as inspired by their jobs that they currently have. It brings an income. They have to support a family. They've got, responsibilities. So they'll still hang on to a job, but at the same time, they'll be working on something, maybe collaboratively or on their own, to come up with something that does inspire them. I just spoke recently to someone who had a business for 30 years, and he still has it. It's doing very, very well, but he's not inspired by it anymore. He wants to do something different. And the business can pretty much run itself if you can get to the point, if you're already a business owner, but you're bored by, you're not being challenged anymore. There's a way you can shift gradually. If the business can run on its own, you can come up with something better, something different, something that's going to inspire you. There's it's not only millennials; it's people facing a midlife crisis where, I'm not doing something that impacts the world. I'm not doing something that inspires me anymore. I loved what I was doing, and now I want to make a change. So those are going to be trends that are going on out there that people in their 40s, 50s, they're going to try to do something a little bit different, or maybe a lot different, because they want to be more inspired. They want to set higher goals for themselves. For the millennials, you see so many high school, college students already starting businesses, and I'm just so floored by how far they've gotten. I mean, the last time I was interviewed by somebody who started his own podcast at the age of 17 or 16 or 17, and now is in college. And he has they have these young kids have higher goals where they can use technology to get where they want to go.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing more and more of that. I'm very impressed by it.
It's interesting. You mentioned a few demographics, older generation looking for something, millennials, but there was a common thread that you spoke of, which is losing their passion. And I think that's where your life coaching comes in. So one thought that comes to mind is no matter what the trend you may see or feel, you as a person, if you're listening to this and you want to do something bigger, better, different, make a transition, whatever that might look like, that passion is super important. So A, is it possible to create a passion? And B, what do you do if you feel like you've kind of lost it a little bit?
Well, creating the passion, some people can do it on their own. Some people, need guidance. Mm-hmm. That's what, as a mentor, that's what I'm here for. I have a client of mine that she was disappointed. She has a product out there. She launched it. She's a small player in the market, fighting against, the much bigger companies, and to get on the shelf and to be noticed. And, she was, she didn't meet her expectations of her projections of where she was going to be today. And I used my life coaching to help bring her up, to help inspire her, to help her see things differently, that there's more than one way that she can look at, where she's come from and where she is and what the possibilities are. And so life coaching for me has helped me as well, help myself to keep me going, because there are times when you're starting the business and even during the course of a business that's already more mature, there are ups and downs. Yeah. You need that support. If you have the support behind you, and it's a down day, something happened, you want to be able to reach out to your mentor, your coach, to help you get through it. Yeah. So I truly believe that having that mentorship, having somebody there to, get you back up again and to help you see the world differently is so important, especially in a business that, could, especially the early stages of the business, but also the later stages when there are also different types of challenges. Yeah.
Well, and again, from your introduction and background, you've got such a variety of pasts that you can bring a really fresh perspective to someone now based on what you've seen, experienced, and learned from your career in the past. So I think that it brings a wealth of knowledge. And a lot of times people just go take a life coaching course and go, let's help each other out, and they don't bring that. So I think that that's something that people need to recognize. Do you find that you draw on your past experiences really well when working with your current clients?
I certainly do. I mean, having had experience hiring, the difficulty of firing, alternative financing, all kinds of experiences that entrepreneurs, when they step into their business and start the business, they don't realize they're going to face. Yeah. And I have been through most of those things. I don't know if I've been through everything, but I've probably been through 90% of everything that could possibly happen to a business. So I understand. I could always understand from my own background, from my own experience, what is going on and how to get back on your feet quickly.
So what do you find is your focus in business with respect to, do you have a mission in your business that you're on a mission to accomplish and tell the world?
Well, my mission is to guide and help business owners, entrepreneurs, business owners grow their businesses, scale their businesses, and do it in a manner that is going to be the most efficient, and also helping them keep the balance in their lives, helping them understand that when it's time out, when they need to step back and maybe, take some time to take a walk on the beach or meditate, catch their breath, just be there to tell them it's going to be all right. My mission is just to have that support ready for my clients so they can grow their business and still feel like they haven't, made so many sacrifices that it's going to affect their relationships or their health, to keep sight of all that balance that they need in their lives, and to make it a pleasant, a fun experience.
Yeah, that's a feat in and of itself, as I'm sure you can attest to. Huh?
Oh, definitely. I think the upside of having a successful business, is a real high. I'd like to see my clients reach that high where, wow, I've done it. I made it. And instead of the struggling phase, I see too many entrepreneurs in that struggling phase, can't break out of it. And I want to see them break through, get to that next level, and feel the satisfaction of having moved a company, which is a big feat, to a level where it's gained momentum, where you have a solid base of customers, you have revenues coming in and profits. That is my goal.
Awesome. Well, hey, tell us, what's the best way that our listeners can reach out and connect with you, learn more about you, read your writings, listen to your podcast, and just learn more about The Balanced Millionaire?
They can go to my website, www.thebalancedmillionaire.com. They can also email me at info@thebalancedmillionaire.com.
Well, Eileen, thank you so much for coming on today. It's really great getting to know you.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me, Mike.
You've been listening to Influential Entrepreneurs with Mike Saunders. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.influentialentrepreneurssradio.com.